All right, what's up, guys? This is Jordan again from the Undergraduate Survival Guide. This is the final part of our four-part bonus episode, and today we have on a fan of the show, friend of the show, one of our most viewed videos to date. It's Samir. How you been, man?
Hey man, how are you? Most viewed. I did not know that before. Oh, no, that's new to me. I bet they were all like parents. But yeah, no, I've been good, man. It's been a while though. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Very good. Just been focusing on somewhat revision because I know my parents are probably going to listen to this still, and also, of course, podcasts.
Oh yeah, okay. That's a good answer. Good answer. Yeah, it's been nice to be about finally. Like, it's still trying to be safe, but it's nice to be outside and slowly seeing everyone from a distance again. Been way too long.
Yeah, for real, man. I know we were talking briefly before the start about how you start to value physical interactions a lot more. Like, I definitely feel that when you're only seeing like faces on Zoom all the time versus like 3 dimensions.
It's just not the same. Even when you like say hello to someone or say goodbye to someone, you can't give them a hug. It's just like, or a spud even. It's like, how do I do this? It's really weird.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up. Like, the amount of awkward goodbyes I've had. Like, yeah, bye. I'll call you back tomorrow. Like,
yeah, same. I think I had an awkward goodbye and I actually messaged them later. I was like, oh, sorry, I don't know how to say goodbyes without a hug. I'm sorry if I'm being awkward. I don't know what to do. But yeah.
Oh man. Do you feel like we'll go into the proper topic of the video or the episode in a sec? But do you feel like you benefit at all from like communicating online?
Over the course of lockdown in general? Yeah. Benefit in what way? Just like every way?
I guess like, because I know a lot of people who benefit from like not having to wear pants, for example. It's like you just feel more comfortable when it's virtual. I feel like we definitely come across as more like physical guys that benefit more from actually seeing someone. Like, what camp are you in?
Oh, I see. Yeah, definitely in person, definitely. Because over text, it's just you can't get your tone across, you can't get your personality across, you can't, you might say something and it may be read in a different tone of voice compared to the one you wanted it to be interpreted as, and you just can't get anything across. I think people are just, I don't know, I do, but I can be myself and like blossom a bit better in person than I can over text. It's just never been, or even over a phone call. I'm just not very good. It's not the same. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But it has been like so key over this last couple months, because I can't imagine what this had been like had we not had Zoom, had we not had Skype, WhatsApp, Instagram, and you're just talking to random people you haven't spoken to years because they're just seeing what you're up to on Instagram, and like everyone's just trying to talk to each other. And it's just really nice,
That's definitely one of the good things. Yeah. Nah, that's definitely a good thing to come out of lockdown. Like, I mean, I guess the podcast for me is a unique circumstance, but the amount of like random DMs I've had since the start of like April, late March has been like ridiculous. Guys like from school, guys from like uni that I might have seen on a night out that just appeared out of nowhere today. It's like, shit, like,
yeah, really. I reckon even me and you, even we probably had exchanged our first couple words, start of lockdown, and hadn't for a while before then. And it's just like, just naturally, people just naturally attract to each other, which is really nice. And then obviously we're just vibing since then, so.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I think I just forgot you were a Spurs fan for a minute.
Say no more. All right, see you later. It's been good. Yeah.
Mad. Nah, sure though. Very true.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
For sure. Don't know how you guys are like different breed. You lost to Spurs when you should have won. Then you beat Man City and Liverpool, and then you lost to Aston Villa in like the space of like 10 days. It makes no sense. And now you might go and win a trophy. I don't get it. No one understands.
No one gets it. Arsenal is literally like I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship with Arsenal. Like they just keep beating me up, but I feel like I can't not love them.
You're getting, like, you're being given just enough to stay, like just a little bit of hope here and there, and then you just get slapped every time you like get close enough to it. Like, no,
Literally.
too close, too close.
Way too close to home, man. And a perfect segue as well.
Yeah.
I think, unlike football clubs, when things start to get messy with girls, it's quite easy to pull the trigger sometimes. And I think, as we previously discussed, today's topic, we're going to talk briefly about breakups, given the fact that we're both playing Frank Ocean in the background right now.
Yeah, I got Marvin's Room on, bit of Sheeran, Adele, you name it.
A bit of 401.
Jeez!
Come on. So on that, like, obviously you've been, I guess, healing for a little while, and you're mostly good now, to my knowledge. Like, how was actually, I guess a good place to start would be like, how did your relationship start in the first place? It's probably good to understand context.
Okay. Friends for a while. So friends for years. And then it might have even been one of them ones where like I somehow broke the friend zone barrier. Like, I reckon it was like a potential friend zone. It could have been a friend zone type of situation, but that barrier kind of broke, and then we started going out, and then so went to the same uni. Not by choice. We didn't like follow each other. We were friends, and then we both applied to the same uni, and then we started going out. Went to the same uni. So 2.5 years, but like obviously you share a journey together. So it's like you share leaving home together, you share living out together, the whole massive uni experience when you have like a bubble at uni and a bubble at home. We shared that together. It's like a journey, I suppose. Big change, big experience that you share with someone else. Is pretty mad. Live together for like most of the first year. So that's also like it kind of felt like just over 2 years, but it could be the equivalent to someone's 4. Just because of so many like overlapping factors.
That's crazy.
It's
interesting because that's crazy, man. It's interesting because when you think about university breakups, it's usually or at least in my case, I know several others talk about like how the distance kind of got between them, how it's hard to express yourself when you're not really seeing each other frequently, which I guess is kind of poignant right now given the whole lockdown and that. But it's interesting how you, I guess, saw, I don't know how to phrase it properly, but I guess how you broke up even despite the fact that you were together all the time. Like, what's your take on that? Would you feel like you would have benefited from being together, like, separate? Or is there like way too much, what's the word? Like, not enough space or too much space?
I don't know if it was an issue with space, because like we all had our own halls and our own groups of friends as well, in first year and second year. And yes, I don't know if space was an issue, but it's more like, because first year was so much time together, and second year, now there's a lot of work and everything counts and there's more going on in each of our lives. Then the sudden, so now in fact we were a bit more distant compared to first year, I guess. And I think relative to what the first year was, although it was due to other outside factors, it felt like the distance was because of, something coming from within. But after reflecting on it, it was probably more due to like outside factors such as work, uni, friends, and stuff like that. So I don't know. Distance is, it depends on how you look at it in terms of distance, I guess.
Yeah. That's interesting. I definitely hear your point on like distance from within, because like something that I know, it's obviously not specific with relationships, but so like, for example, uni, you feel like you suddenly start to fall behind and you realize that, maybe you're doing the work, maybe you're like showing up the lectures, but it's always this one thing that you never really notice till too late, which could be like just your work ethic, or I don't know, you're not doing the homework.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's always one thing that's kind of like very obvious, or like when you think about it in hindsight. But at the time, it's so easy to overlook. I feel like when it comes to your case, like you kind of talk about it coming from, like maybe it was like there all along, you just never appreciated it until it was like obvious in front of you, like right under your nose.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. Agreed.
What would you say, like, as much as you're willing to share, what went wrong?
Again, I guess for context, for, so what I say later makes more sense. It's quite hard to pinpoint. I've never deeped this. Hang on. It's hard. No, I have deeped it. Why am I lying? It is hard to pinpoint though. It's more, I don't know how to answer it without I'm trying to be neutral and not cause there's all still respect there and, just trying to, not say anything that sounds peak. So, I guess, I reckon again, it was just first year, a lot of time spent together, really close all the time. Second year, now there's a bit more distance and, there's because of work and other factors, but we both thought that distance was because of, oh, you don't like me anymore, I don't like you anymore. And that initial kind of thought created friction, which eventually led to some disagreements. And I guess that just continued to escalate. Like with one person trying to fix it and the other person trying to fix it as well, but also not trying to fix it as well, but also not. I guess that way. I guess I can say it that way. Yeah, and then, but yeah, it was never really talked about. So it did end before exams as well. So it was a deep one for both of us, I'm sure. And yeah, it ended before a second year of exams as well. So that's a tough one. But there was no pinpoint reason that was given or an explanation that was given, which then made the preceding, healing process a lot harder, because if you don't know what exactly went wrong or didn't really have an explanation, everything I just said to you is just stuff I've reflected on and kind of tried to figure out on my own. At the time, I had no idea. So yeah, so without a sort of explanation or reasoning or anything like that, it does make the preceding healing process a lot harder, because you blame yourself, you blame other people, you don't know what to blame, you don't have closure, all these sorts of things. You think about what it could have been, you think about what could have went wrong, you think about what we could have done better. Yeah, so that's the context, I guess. That's as much as I'm gonna say in terms of yeah. Trying to
that's calm.
Yeah. There's still respect there for sure. When someone's, because do you know what? Because at the time you grow a lot in the healing process. You grow a lot as a person, as a man, as your perceptions on these things and perspectives grow a lot. And at the time, it's obviously oh, you did this, and this to me. How could you do this? And eventually you grow and you're like, okay, no, these things happen. There's obviously, it's not like I got cheated on or anything. It's not like that. But there's obviously no malicious intent, although it might not have been handled the best. Because if someone had spent that long with you and was a really big part of your life, there was no malicious intent. These things just, how these things never really go well. It's always going to be hard. No one really knows, especially the first adult relationship. No one really knows how to go about it. Yeah. So then you grow and you learn and you look back on it and you're like, okay, really grateful it happened. Had a lot of nice time together. And sometimes people just come into your life and sometimes they just leave, and that's completely okay, I guess, and how it could have been handled could have been better, but I guess that some people can just come and go in your life, and that's just how it is. We're 22, we've got 60 years left, like, hopefully. It can, that's just the natural cycle of how things work. Because I was a very all-in guy. Like, I think we both kind of were. We're both like, marriage and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess a lot of people think that in the first one. But yeah, you grow and you learn and you come to realize that, I know if I get into another relationship, I'll be all or nothing, because I'm not going to get into a relationship being like, yeah, we'll last a year and we'll break up.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like, especially after going through a breakup, it's like, I do not want to go through that again. That was really, 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 really bad. But if you think this could actually potentially be really good and really long, then is it worth it? I don't know, but at least it's like a gamble, essentially. In like, I don't want to say love is a gamble, but I guess it is. Because you're giving someone a lot of power to essentially hurt you, but they're also giving you love and commitment and a massive, really nice relationship out of it as well. That makes sense, yeah. So I'm still kind of like that, all or nothing, but I know the difference between me then and me now, based on like the growth, is that before, when that breakup happened, I was like, how could you do this kind of thing? Whereas now, if one were to happen, it'd be more of, okay, like, as long as there's an explanation, and everyone deserves an explanation. As long as there's an explanation, I'll be like, okay, I get it, I understand that these things happen, because how many like parents out there are like were childhood sweethearts? Not many. I don't know. Do you know many?
My parents.
Oh, bro, that's bad. What are the chances of that? Oh, here's me. Maybe I just fucked it. Damn.
Nightmare.
Fair enough.
But no, I completely hear what you're saying, though. Like,
that's the first, but then of everyone's parents I know, that is the first time I've had that. So I guess in terms of percentage, it's still, more often than not, it's not the childhood sweethearts. But well done to your parents, though. That's mad. That's crazy. Big respect. Yeah. Big up.
Like, I'm not going to come and shit on my own parents, but I can definitely see the frailties of not settling too early per se, but having a limited resource pack of perspectives when you only have one person and kind of wing it from there.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so grounded, man.
Nah, that's good. That's good.
Mad. Yeah. I do think, like, I hear what you're saying. I think a fundamental, I guess, lesson from that is, I guess, communicating. I think a lot of couples, people often like, underestimate how important it is to communicate with your partner and to be aware of like how things are going.
Yeah.
Cause like the same way you mentioned, like things kind of drifted apart. You didn't really know where it happened. I think people, that's way more common than it should be. Especially in 2020 when it just takes one text like, yo, how you doing? And then suddenly you can have a proper conversation.
Yeah.
I just think people got like in general, not even just in relationships, but in general, we've got to get better at, talking to each other.
Yeah, 100%. Because, what needs to be normalized is like, you should be able to say, like, first of all, if you're upset with about something or something someone's done, you should be able to confront that person. Okay, confront sounds a bit aggressive, but speak to that person and say, okay, this is why this has upset me. Could we maybe work through it? And that should be completely fine. Whereas I feel like we're in an environment or it's very common that for someone to go like, oh, this has upset me, and to tell someone that from the other person is seen as like, oh, it's like an attack almost. Like, what? I've not upset you. What are you talking about? Like, when it shouldn't be like that. It should be the start of a constructive conversation rather than, an attack or the start of an argument. And that's where it seems to go wrong. Yeah. But it's communication. Yeah, that's all that reflecting I've done. Like, definitely communication is the main one. So many problems could be solved if they just, not like when the problems escalate so much where no communication is going to fix it now. Like, if something's gone wrong and you communicate it and, you have a constructive conversation, both people are like, okay, I'll do this to adjust for your needs and you can do this to adjust for my needs. And it's because a relationship is mutual. It's a mutual agreement and you both have to adjust and grow together and adjust for each other. And if we did communicate, it would be fine. It would all be better. But I guess that's definitely something I've learned. And I know that I really like to, when I do, and only very recently, it's been a very long time, but only very recently, I don't know if I'm ready, but the idea of a relationship is, I'm more open to it. Whereas there was a long period of time I was like, never again. I'm like, it's too scary. In terms of like the heartbreak is too much and I don't want to go through that again. Whereas now it's like, do you know what? I'm looking at the other side of the coin and I'm like, oh, a relationship would be really nice. It'd be nice to share certain things with someone or have, someone to go to things with and, have all those nice things you do. So the healing works, man. Healing time. I wouldn't have believed you before, but time does heal a lot. Time, and you need some effort from yourself as well. But yeah, it works.
Yeah. I definitely hear you on like the last thing you said as well, like, gotta put effort in. A lot of people kind of just think, let me just ignore it. After a while, after a couple of pints, I'll be okay. Like, you really do have to reflect and come to terms of like what actually went wrong and try and deal with that yourself. I think that's an important note as well.
100%. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. Could you say that again, please? My train of thought just left me for some reason. Lockdown, I ain't been using my brain, man. Hey, Warzone.
I'm happy I'm still in uni, man. I got something to think about.
Yeah.
Mad. Now, I was just saying, like, it's important to actually put the effort in. Because a lot of people kind of just wait it out, buy a bunch of drinks and hope for the best, but ignoring it won't solve the problem. It's not time alone, it's time with effort.
Exactly. It's because, at first, when, it's just like, the walls are caving in, there's like a dark cloud over your head, you've got that pain in your stomach, that pain in your chest, and all that, the really like first few months. I know that a short-term fix is, yes, have a drink. Yes, go out, have a good night. Not for me, but for some people, yes, go out and, sleep with someone, have a thing with someone. Yeah, fine. But the long-term things are like, focusing on, first of all, reflecting and just telling yourself that, okay, I've not been the best, and bun what the other person's done. At this now, it's like, now the breakup has happened. Obviously, yeah, fine, you can think about the other person, and now it's all about you. So, if there's something they could have done better, okay, they could have done it better, but there's nothing you can do about that. You can't change that. What you can change is yourself. And you've got to look back and be like, okay, this is something I used to do and I didn't know I was doing until I've actually sat down and thought about it. And I need to be open-minded and not be stubborn. And, because a lot of people are stubborn and like, I'm perfect. I'm never going to change anything. No one is. You have to be always willing to change and grow and learn from times you've may have upset someone, times you've made a mistake, and you have to reflect on those things and learn how to be better. Because not only are you going to feel better about yourself when you've done this, you'll also be more prepared for the next relationship because you won't make those same mistakes or accidentally upset someone, or you won't do those things again because you're probably learning to be more considerate and more careful with your words. That's one thing I learned as well. Like, thinking back, I don't know, I speak quite fast sometimes. I don't know if it comes across in the podcast, but
no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So, and I often say things not with malicious intent, with good intentions, but they're worded so badly that it sounds like it was malicious. So I've started doing this thing where I literally just stop talking and I take a second to reword everything in my head and then continue. Because I remember once, this wasn't a girlfriend or anything, but flatmates, they were like, I think we were just talking about gym, and then they were like, yeah, I never sweat in the gym. And then my stupid head, I was like, yeah, maybe you're not sweating because you're not working hard enough. And that's like, that's deep. Like, I know what I meant to say. I know what I'm trying to say, but that's not that's deep. Like, that's actually deep. And saying that to someone who's been gym, like actually going ham and say you're not working hard enough, that's quite mean. And I literally apologized for that, like literally straight away. I was like, that's not how I meant it. But yeah, that's just an example. But yeah, you have to self-reflect on yourself and grow and try to be a better person and be ready for the next relationship, or just, just be a better man in life. So you don't hate yourself for those, because often, for example, in my case, I didn't have like a reason. So I hated myself for a while, like, oh, I did this. But eventually when you realize that, okay, I've learned so much and I'm not that guy, like I'm not doing those things anymore. Like you eliminate that room in your mind to hate yourself, and you start to, like you start to love yourself again when you're like, okay, flaws, what flaws? Like, obviously I know I'm sure there's some flaws somewhere, but at least for the time being, I know that every flaw that I'm aware of, I have worked on to fix. And I'm sure there's flaws I'm not aware of yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I suppose. But you just got to be willing to get better, be a better person.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. How about you? How have you have you self-reflected?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think for me, like with my ex, I think I don't want to say unique, because I imagine it happens to a lot of people, but I don't know anyone in my circle, at least, who's got a similar experience. But it got to a point where, like, to be fair, it needs a lot of context, but to be as comprehensive as possible, like I had a lot of so much stuff that can't be dealt with, like in a short space of time. Like, what's an example? Like family stuff, for example. You can't really deal with family in a week or 2 months or whatever. It takes a long time to process all that's going on. A lot of unlearning, a lot of appreciating like certain things that you never really appreciated before. And I guess I got to a point where my girlfriend at the time kind of became something that I thought that, started to become a process. And for me, who's, coming from a working class background, I've never had peace like that. Not doing too well at uni, trying to like grow the podcast, all these different things. I kind of got to a point where I'm like, the only thing that I can afford to take out, the only problem I can afford to like actively ignore right now just happened to be her.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's kind of deep now that I say it out loud, and I'm reckon I'm going to get a lot of hate in the morning.
Nah, not at all. No.
But it's one of those things where like I can't just remove my mum from my life. I can't just remove uni. I mean, I guess I could just spend a year, but there are so many things that are a lot more concrete, or that were at the time at least. And if there was one problem that I had to ignore, it just had to be that. Unfortunately, it had to be her.
I completely get that, because I think, like you said, like working class and that as well. Like in my case, reflecting, I'm sure there were so many times where I was so like, because my first set of exams that counted, I averaged like 50. I probably said it last time. So, and I'm trying to get 2-1. So now I'm just like, I'm going crazy. And thing is, for us as well, like uni is everything. If we don't get uni, then that's it. Like we need, because the dream is to get uni and get a job and try to like give our families a better life kind of thing. So that's always going to be up there. And I don't think there's any place for anyone to say that, okay, no, I should be above that. No way. And although it sounds sad, but I know what you mean. It's like, just by elimination, that thing turned out to be the thing you forgot about. Just by elimination, but not by like choice, like, oh, this is more important than this. No, it's literally just by elimination. And yeah, which is sad. But then I guess at different stages of your life, that goes to show that at different stages of your life, you'll find it easier to be in a relationship, because uni is just so hectic. Whereas I feel like maybe after, like when you've done your job applications, you've got a job, you know how to do your job now, you've settled down a bit, you just, working every month and saving every month, and, everyone's gotten a bit older at home, everyone's calmed down a bit. Maybe then there's less stresses and more time to devote to different things equally. and give everything a bit more importance. Whereas by uni, because there's so much on the line, there's a lot of importance just given to that, and other factors may be affected in result of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like, cause you touched on it as well, how you said you're like an all or nothing type of guy. I very much see myself as that as well. But not even like just all or nothing, like 200% or nothing.
Yeah.
So when I see myself in a position where not even I just said by choice, like literally just by the circumstance, I can only afford to give like 40%. It's like, it just hurts me as an individual, because it's like,
I know,
fuck's sake, like I want to do so much more, but I physically can't. And
exactly.
You have no choice but to let go.
Exactly. I completely understand that. Yeah. It is sad though, yeah. It's proper sad. But I guess it's just a stage of your life where maybe there just wasn't enough room for a relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean you don't love the person. It doesn't mean you don't, want to give them that time. Doesn't mean they're not as important as everything else. It just means that certain things are just taking over your life more than you want them to. And that's not even your fault. That's still not your fault, Yeah. But again, that's again something you reflect on and then you clock. If we clocked it at the time, I'm sure we'd maybe manage, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's mad.
No, I see what you mean. I think purely by knowing something exists, you're way more inclined to deal with it. But I guess it's, hindsight is 2020 after all. And 2020 is coronavirus, so.
Yeah. Nothing.
Now we know how that sentence ends.
Yeah. Nothing makes sense right now.
Mad, man.
Yeah, for sure. And another part of like just healing overall, like, so there's the reflecting side of things. Yeah. That's a massive one. That even happened in lockdown as well. Like, start of lockdown was peace. Like, not in terms of just relationship, just in terms of just life in general. Like, what am I doing? What's happening? You're reflecting on everything. It doesn't have to be just a relationship, just you as a person. But also just I remember watching loads of videos. I used to watch like motivational videos like every morning, frying eggs. Like it was quite trying to uplift myself every morning. But I remember seeing one guy and he was like, it's got to be done, man. And I remember one guy, he was like some like life coach, and he said, yeah, there's like, the short-term fixes, going out, drinking, partying, going on dates when you're not ready kind of thing. But a long-term goal that is going to make you feel better about yourself is setting a life goal and achieving it. Because one thing, like for me, growing up for a long time, this is a very specific example, but for a long time, it was like when I thought about life goals, I'd think about marriage, family, kids kind of thing. That's like really, really, really big. But in order to picture that, you're picturing a person with you. And so when certain relationship ends and now you're like, oh my God, that was my life goal, and the other half of that picture is no longer there and I can't achieve this no more, that's a big blow. You're like, oh my God, but that's not how life should be looked at. So it's all about the personal goals. And my thing when I was going through it and all that, the personal goal was to graduate the 2-1 somehow, and get through it. Cry when you need to cry, you talk to your friends when you need to talk to your friends, but you're getting this 2-1. But I don't know, mathematically it's not even looking good right now. I averaged like a 58 point something. I scraped it on the 58 rule, but it happened. It somehow happened, but yeah, so that was one. And the other one was to travel on the gap year. Didn't happen because of COVID, but it was still something. It's fine. It was still something to work towards. Yeah, it's still something I worked towards and look forward to for the year, the gap year, and then land a job. And those were personal goals that involved no one but me. So no matter what sort of, if I had to break up with a friend, if I had to break up with a girlfriend, if I had you can't break up with yourself. And so that means that no matter what sort of friction I have with another person in my life, that goal will never, the image or that dream, that picture of that dream is never going to shatter, because that involves only me. It's not like the family thing where like, the wife's not there anymore. What am I supposed to do now? It's like a personal goal, involves only you. And then once you achieve it, you're like, okay, damn, like that was all me kind of thing. And that's again, something you do and it helps you heal as well. Because now you're dreaming on your own. You're trying to make it on your own. There's something to look forward to on your own. There's no outside factor that can interfere with that. But I mean, there are, like, there's COVID and maybe, you know, yeah, maybe you can lose your job or maybe you can not go on holiday. Yeah. But it's not like I can't try to revisit it later, if that makes sense. Like, as long as I'm like, you know, God forbid, like, as long as I don't die, I will still be able to try and revisit that at some point, you know? Those kind of goals. And that's like good for the heart as well. If you do achieve it in the end. Which you will.
That's poetic, man. That's your next single.
Oh yeah? Say no more.
I completely agree with that. That's a very good take. Like, a lot of people to be fair, a lot of people I talk to when I talk about long-term goals, it's like, yeah, I want to raise a family, I want my forever home, I want wifey, hashtag goals, all this stuff. Like,
I was like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good take, because people don't really appreciate that. Like, I guess to me, this kind of comes naturally. Like, I've always seen girls, or like, I guess relationships in general, as like a side mission. Like, I kind of see life as like GTA, where you got your main story, then girls are always like,
yeah.
You can still get like 85% completion without actually getting a relationship.
Yeah.
So like, to me, I've always been like, let me just do my own thing. Like, one day I want to own Arsenal Football Club, and that's going to be me set. One day when I get that, you know, £10 billion paycheck.
My brother, one day, coming.
Come on. But now I hear you. Like, now that you say it, I realize a lot of guys do really think, you know, they want that forever home. They want that relationship goals. They want that wifey. And it's so much harder to achieve, you know, let's say happiness, if your happiness revolves around someone else, or some other company, or it's nuts. The more responsibility you take, the more chips you kind of put in your own basket, like, you have a much greater chance of succeeding then, because it's like the only person you can fault then is you.
Yeah. Very, very, very well said. But yeah, very, very well said. I don't know how to even add to that fully. It's just, it's true. Like, because not that I wouldn't, like, I would absolutely love to have, you know, a really long relationship and get married. Like, I dream as my wedding day as much as a girl does. Like, I'm going to make it bang. Like, proposal's going to bang, wedding's going to bang, dress is going to bang, suit's going to bang. Yeah. Like, I dream about that too. But if that's it's like you said, it's like, you have to see it as a bonus. You know, love doesn't come easy. It doesn't, it's not easy when it does go. But yeah, you have to focus on yourself. And if you're lucky enough, which I'm sure most people are, and you will be, for love to hit you, then yeah, I'm sure that's on the cards, and you will be even happier than you could ever imagine. But when you're on your own, and you just always have to have that personal goal, because, you know, love doesn't always last. And if your whole life revolves around, you know, okay, start having that dream after you're married for 20 years. Okay, fine. Or 10 years or 5 years. Because then you're like, okay, your eggs are, she's one of the eggs in your basket. Excuse me. Rah. But yeah. But yeah, it's not, it's definitely a dream, but you have to have your own personal dreams as well. And you have to always have something you're working towards and looking forward to that isn't going to make you happy as a result of someone else. You know, you have to be, like you said, your own happiness kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like, so many things I heard, I didn't believe, like, yeah, you can't love someone else until you love yourself, or time heals all wounds. Like, all of that is true. All of that is true. A lot of things can take more time than others. I think some things are not necessarily healed or gone, but you feel it less. So like, if someone were to pass away, like, that pain's still going to be there, but there will come a point where you manage to get on with your days again, you know, and you know, you've got a plaster on kind of thing. Yeah, these things are true. And like, loving yourself as well. If you learn to love yourself and be your own person, and someone else is loving themselves and being their own person, and you two come together, that's probably the recipe for a great relationship. Whereas, you know, so many things like me or my other half would may have done wrong is because we were insecure about ourselves, and then, you know, she would talk to someone and I'd be upset, or I would talk to someone and she'd be upset. Whereas if we weren't as insecure and we loved ourselves and there was more mutual trust there, you know, those little things just wouldn't happen. You know, whereas now, if I saw someone talking to bare people, I'd be like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm good. You know, that's my woman. You know, it's like, unless someone's actually moving mad, like not her. Blame wouldn't be on her. Blame would be on the guy. But yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Even then, to be fair, my perspective on that like particular point is that you have to trust your girl in any capacity, or your partner, I should say, to handle themselves there. Like I would never unless like this guy's like trying to swing for my girlfriend. Like
yeah,
that's different.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like, nah, you gotta watch yourself, man. It's not my responsibility to make sure you don't cheat. Like if you're tempted by any capacity, that's on you, man.
Exactly. And yeah, go on.
I think my, like, I guess final kind of take on the previous point as well is that I've always had this view of careers more so than like relationships, but the two very much intertwine in this capacity. And it's that if you're working, you know, for a job, a lot of people kind of overlook mental health. And it's like, if you're mentally only at, 50%, you can only actually be as effective, as efficient as 50% of yourself, because that's all you have to give. Whereas like, if you take 10 seconds to focus on yourself, to love yourself, to like, wash off that dirt on your hands, you're suddenly going to be up to 100. You work way more efficiently.
Yeah.
I think
100%.
the same rule completely applies to your partner, where it's like, if you're only, somewhat happy, or you're only somewhat as successful as you should be, because I don't know, you're kind of lazing about for uni, you're kind of like working way below your pay grade because you're just like complacent with your own life. How can you expect to get like Beyonce or something if you're just like bummy ass guy that never focus on yourself? Like you always got to be aware of where you are, both mentally, physically, career wise, financially. Like everything's got to be right. Because if you're never checking that, how can you expect to get, the one girl in the world that's like made for you? You expect to get her if you're only putting in like 20% of the work. That's
exactly. Yeah.
Madness.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to be comfortable, not necessarily like financially or I guess if you want to look at it in a more materialistic way, but you do have to be comfortable, like with yourself, with, the direction of your life, the direction of your career, just comfortable with your life, your family, your friends, your everything. And and this goes back to us, struggling at uni, because of different levels of importance we're given to different things. If you're not comfortable in any sort of aspect, that's going to lead, again, like you said, like 20%, if you might end up giving a smaller percentage to your relationship because you're not comfortable with, something you're battling within yourself, or something you don't like about yourself, or if you're battling something at work, if you're being a bum, there's just, a relationship takes a lot, and you don't want things that you can control. And if you were to control certain things and keep them stable, you want to do that because a relationship takes a lot. So you don't want any of those things that are within your control causing something in your relationship that's not within your control, to have less time devoted to it. I don't know if that was worded well, but yeah.
No, I know what you mean. It's all about, I guess, focusing on what you can and can't do, making sure everything's in line.
Yeah, as long as what you can control is in line, you'll be ready for what you can't control.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it. Yeah.
Love it, man. Dropping gems out here, man.
Yeah, man. It's a mental journey and all that stuff. Like you hear, like, oh, you'll come out of this stronger. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. All that stuff. It's as long as you're not, like you said, not ignoring it. It's true. It's true. You come out stronger. You come out wiser. You come out a better person. And just less things bother you as well. Like, I don't get annoyed at anything anymore. Like anything someone does, I'm just like, okay, fine. I know my worth now. I know I'm really nice. If you're going to do that, I'm all good. Like that's you. I'm different. There you go. That's it. Done. Done. It's not like you're not going to sit back and take anything anymore. It's just because you spent so much of it, like so long in this like healing journey on your own, that you just become very aware that, this sounds really simple, but you become very aware that they are their own person and you are your own person. And, you know, now certain things someone does, it's just like, okay, that's just you. All right, that's not me. That's it. Done. Whereas before, you know, you might get upset by it. You know, now you're just like, you're just aware, like, just aware of yourself and aware of how other people behave. Sometimes you can't change them, but just know you're doing everything you can to be better. If someone else isn't, and you can't help them. Yeah.
Yeah, man. As long as everything you do at any given time is like what you truthfully believe to be the best, you know, the best action you can take given the information you have. As long as you're always doing right by your morals at that time, it's hard to be, it's hard to miss out in the long run. But, yeah, I love that, man. That's about all we've got time for. It's coming up to an hour.
What? It's been an hour?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
46 minutes, but you know.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Conversations can just, it's like, that's why like Love Island and stuff is so popular, because like things like this can just be talked about forever. Everyone has their own opinions on it. Everyone likes talking about it. Everyone's experienced a relationship or a breakup. They can just be talked about for ages.
Yeah, honestly, the amount of perspectives you can get is ridiculous, man.
Yeah, 100%.
It's nuts. But yeah, man, it's nice having you on again, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Always good to hear from you. I'm looking forward to your next single.
Oh, it might be a while. Got no inspiration anymore.
Oh, hell.
Yeah, no, it's been good to hear from you as well, man, in a while. Hopefully we can meet up soon.
Yeah, man, we'll get that sorted.
Yeah.
And part 2 coming very soon.